It's like playing Russian roulette. I know. Christmas tree. All right, well, welcome back to the Arclight Fab. I know it's been a long time, and here we are nearing the conclusion of the F12 build. So it's been here about a year, and it's got worked on more some weeks than others. But here we are, and we're at the end. Turbos are mounted. Charge tubes, intercoolers made, everything has a home, and so it's time to put it all back together. So I just got everything back from powder coat and cleaned everything up, prepped everything, got everything ready to go back in. Still have to finish up the last little bit of the drain lines, the feed line for the oil, and then we gotta do some heat shielding, but otherwise it's basically just install it all and attempt to go to first fire. So every day for the last 4 days, I've been trying to start final assembly on the car, and it just hasn't quite happened. We had some plumbing issues between HVAC. We had some issues with the EVAP system and with PCV. PCV went pretty good, but the EVAP had to make some parts, move some things, do some of that. But the last serious part of the car that hadn't been figured out was where I got the oil out of the engine. And I'll spare you all of the running around and why this car is different and what my fears were. And ultimately, I decided to pull the oil where the oil pressure cylinder was at. I thought that ultimately it was the least risky, not to mention if we were going to be in an issue, we'd be able to identify it pretty quickly. There's one problem. Intake manifold gaskets really aren't in stock in Dallas, and no one I knew here had them, and I was trying to avoid not taking the lower intake off to get access to it. The wiring harness wasn't very long to get to it, so there was several issues, one of which is this whorish thing that I came together with just parts screwed together was too tall. It would work, but it was too tall, and I'd have to extend the harness or build an extension for the harness or relocate the oil pressure cylinder somewhere else and then extend the harness there. Ultimately, I decided all of that was horrible ideas, and we started from the bottom up and basically built a fitting that really compressed everything, and it was 2 1/4 inches shorter than my shortest fitting package that I could bolt together. So built the fitting, it's taking the entire day, basically from noon to about an hour ago. So about 6.5, 7 hours. And we stopped at 8, maybe a little bullshit, but ultimately about 7 hours to get this thing together, got the fitting all together. Everything's really nice. It really does work. Hooked everything up, got an oil line on it, and so we are now 100% complete. Everything is there. We have a source and a solution for our IATs into the computer. We are plumbed out of the engine oil to the turbos back into the engine or to the tank. Everything's good. So I've got to prep a couple things, and then tomorrow is actually real deal, full on final install. Today's the day, I guess. We're gonna see if we can turn this thing back on. Now, while it seems like an easy task, put the key in, hit the button, we've got everything hooked back up that we can hook back up, but there are some things that seem a bit ridiculous because if we have a problem, we have to get back in there. I mean, like the windshield wiper's not hooked up, doesn't have any of the cowl in there. There are systems that didn't get open. The AC system, the cooling system, none of that stuff got opened. All the sensors stayed in place, but the EBAP system has been pretty well changed. I mean, almost to the point radically changed. The air injection has been removed, the pump disconnected on it, and then on the rest of the EVAP or circulatory system, like into the back into the intake, that's all been removed. All those plugs have been nipped, and so we don't have a mass air meter anymore. We don't have an IAT right now. Now we have positions for the IAT, and so we'll pull those wires out of the mass air meters, and then we'll put them in IAT sensors and plug those in. But at the moment, it doesn't have IATs, doesn't have a mass, it doesn't have the front bumper in it, which has a lot of additional sensors that the computer wants to see, because if you start it, it thinks that you want to drive it. So put the key in, go hot, if I hit the button, nothing happens. Don't be too disappointed because it's got a lot of stuff unhooked, and so we just need to figure out what is mandatory, what is not, without putting headlights back in it, bumper back in it, because if we have an issue or a problem, we're gonna need to take all that stuff right back out. So one of the complications of Italian Mustangs, I guess. Let's find out. It's like playing Russian roulette. I know. Christmas tree. Right?